Welcome to the Mundus Fractura Lore Guide. This week on Lore Guide, we will take a deeper look at the most striking feature of Mundus, the Great Crater. At the heart of the planet's supercontinent, there is a titanic and ancient scar, roughly 6,000 kilometers in diameter. This colossal depression, covering an area well over 2 billion square kilometers, represents the lowest point on Mundus's surface. Like an island in a sea of primordial grey residuum, this massive area is almost entirely cut off from the rest of the planet. The tallest of the breathless peaks can be found surrounding the crater, stretching well into the planet's mesosphere. Altitudes where even the rugged Goliath, the mighty floof llamas, and the highest flying creatures cannot survive. The crater itself boasts several different tropical biomes: rich rainforests, verdant grasslands, thriving swamps, mighty rivers, and countless lakes. Once, and as it was for eons, the dominant species of this area were reptiles. Dinosaurs flourished, from gargantuan sauropods to terrifying theropods, and all in between. They existed in every biome in a fantastic variety, filling nearly every niche imaginable. Of the sentient races, kobolds were the largest in number, distantly followed by lizard folk. Kobold were once, in fact, so numerous that the names the Great Crater and Kobold World were used interchangeably. Now, the astute among you might have noted the use of the words once and dominant. From a geologically recent perspective, one cannot speak of the Great Crater without mentioning humans. Humans, non-natives of the planet, are now an integral and interwoven part of all the lands of Mundus. But where did they come from, you may ask? There are many a tale on Mundus telling of humanity's origins on the planet. Fantastical, mundane, and all of them inaccurate. I have done my homework on this topic and happen to know the truth. As all good stories should, this one starts with a kobold. Some years before the time of the events of the clouds beyond the clouds, the invaders, and the rise of the Technostai, a young kobold woman, Ainari, sat near the mouth of her people's warren in the light of Ithil-Lumi, mastering her arcane craft. Ainari was of a keen mind and ambitious. She had designs of having a warren of her own and even had a spot picked for her future home. Its entrance was nestled behind a waterfall in a glade but a few days' walk away from her current home. She was confident that she would be a powerful ruler, the likes of which kobold kind had never seen. She danced and chanted, completing spell after spell, successful cast after successful cast. Emboldened by her successes, she decided that she should attempt a real challenge. Ainari would teleport to her future warren and then back. It would be amazing. This would be her moment, and on her return, she would announce her emancipation. But as is often the case with magic, Ainari's confidence and ambition was well in excess of her skill. As the incantation started, she could feel her grip tight on the weave, pulling it, taming it, bending it to her will. Bending it until she felt it break. With a loud clap of thunder, the skies grew dark. A bolt of lightning shot down from the heavens, striking near her feet, throwing her violently back. She regained her composure, wiped the dirt and debris from her face, and looked up to see a strange, golden sphere the size of a small dragon's egg. It rippled and twisted, and in the shimmering surface, she could see the face of a mammalian. Some type of fleshy, bearded primate looked back at her. Terrified, Ainari immediately attempted to dismiss the effect, but it would not dissipate. The strange, bloated ape turned from the sphere and seemed to summon yet more of the hideous creatures. Ainari frantically scurried about in a blind panic. What to do? What to do? Her Warren matron would be furious. When next she looked upon the golden sphere, there were 4 of the hideous ape creatures peering back at her. Worse yet, one held a staff and seemed to be attempting to cast a spell. In a moment of pure reactive instinct, Ainari let loose a blast of arcane power on the sphere. There was a blinding flash, and then nothingness. As the light dimmed, there was silence. The usual din of the jungle, strangely absent. By dawn's first light, the awful truth of the still could be seen. The forest lay flat for as far as the eye could see. Great trees uprooted and snapped like twigs. Animal carcasses lay shredded and mutilated, scattered amongst the splintered wood of their once serene arboreal home. The mouth of the warren, destroyed, collapsed by the force of a mighty blast. And as for the golden sphere and Ainari, they were never to be seen again. It was some days later the first human emissaries of the Commonwealth arrived. The great crater, as with all of Mundus Fractura, would never be the same. The humans quickly took hold in this world. There is much to discuss about these early days, and I will provide an in-depth review of the Commonwealth another time, but for now, I will keep the details pertinent to our topic at hand. It was with a staggering efficiency and brutal calculated logic that the Commonwealth settled their new lands. The crater, rich with natural resources, little in the way of threat or resistance, and the natural defensive breathless peaks were instantly recognized as an incredible find. They quickly adapted to the idiosyncrasies of Mundus, and all these things would be subdued, tamed, and shackled for the glory of the Commonwealth. The frequent, what they called skyfall events, the chaotic nature of this world's magical weave, and the psionic tide, all pacified with advanced magical technologies. 4 massive dome structures known collectively as the Resonant Equalization Quadrinucleated Interconnector, or REQUI for short, were swiftly erected at the cardinal points of the crater rim. The structures simultaneously served several vital purposes for the Commonwealth. Firstly, they stabilized the magical weave for the entire crater. Second, the REQUI harnessed the psionic tide, fully absorbing and nullifying it in the crater basin. It is a commonly known fact that psionics are detested in the Commonwealth. While in the area of influence of the REQUI, the tide is totally inaccessible. Simultaneously, this nullification field then uses that same energy to produce a shimmering sphere around the entire crater that protects from astral sky fall, as well as all other unwanted incursions. Third, the REQUI acts as a celestial barrier. This both serves to cut off the deities of Mundus and acts as a conduit for the pantheon of the Commonwealth to gain an uncontested dominion over this section of Mundus. And finally, the structures nullify the phenomenon of spirit for all under the dome. It was with these creations the crater was then well and truly fortified and segregated from the rest of Mundus Fractura. But even the mightiest walls can be breached and dams may leak. Over time, some humans found their way out of the crater and past the dome, through the deep, perilous labyrinthian reaches of Mundus Infra and back to the light again. And from but these few drops of rain, a river now flows. It is said on Mundus that where you find one human, you find many. And soon outside the dome, there were many. Humanity may have long forgotten these origins, but all are the descendants of those original crater conquistadors. Today, the crater can still be reached via the deep trails of Infra, though the paths are few, hidden, arduous, and even when found, seldom trod with such intent. But I digress. The details of this long-forgotten trek is a tale for another time. Back to the crater. The great crater valley now stands firmly and uncontested as the dominion of the Commonwealth. The lands are tamed with a great codified network of cities, towns, outposts, resorts, farms, and industry. An organized gridwork of efficiency, leisure, and control exists in a great unified web across the lands. Only the outer fringes of the area nearest the base of the Great Crater's rim are still considered to be wild and natural. The flora and fauna that remain in the core are a strange mix of indigenous plants and those of the Commonwealth home world, selected and curated to meet the desires of the nation. The mighty dinosaurs that remain have been domesticated, anthologized, and as coldly selected as the remaining plant life. The tribes of lizard folk are now few and remote, and the kobolds, they still have a place and struggle on in their warrens. As they are prolific breeders, surpassing even humans, they carry on unknowingly as objects of sport and morbid diversion. Their sole purpose as a source of amusement for the entertainment-obsessed citizens of the Commonwealth, fueling the Commonwealth's favorite pastime, the kobold kill. That is all for this time. I hope you have enjoyed this episode. Stay tuned for future lore guide shorts, and thank you for listening. Goodbye for now.